It's past 9 Central Africa time. You're still tuned into On the Move with myself, Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama. It's going to be fun, and the fun has officially started. Kekelingo is here. He's in the building. He came up the stairs, apparently, because the elevator was giving him problems. So a little bit of leg day, a little bit of exercise for you this morning. But thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
This is great. I'm alive.
Oh, good.
I'm great. Yeah, I'm here.
Alive is good because we enjoy you to be living. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So
true.
That's a great start.
Yeah.
But you've had quite a journey outside of like the journey to come in the studio this morning.
That's a good one.
You've just had a journey in your entire life and your career.
Sure.
So Kekelingo, right? Gregory Keke Mabusela.
Listen.
We want to find out who that is first, because before you got to Kekelingo in 2020, there was a lot going on first. So tell us about just who you are.
Yeah, so Gregory Kekelingo Mabusela, a young man born and raised in Soweto.
Which part of Soweto?
Lady.
Okay.
And this is where I was raised in my grandmother's house, a four-room house. This is where I encountered music as a young man, age 7, 8, I think. At the time, we had like a small television set.
Yeah.
And this television set, at the time, there was Bob TV, right?
Yes.
So then Bob TV would play like this amazing African music. I think as a young man, I didn't understand the languages sung by Salif Keita, Kajanin, because they play those people. Kajanin, you said
but
no.
You don't understand what they were saying.
I don't understand. Yeah. I'm so young, to a point that if I was playing outside, after what days of our lives, that music would come on, right?
Yeah.
And then my mom would call me, or my sister would call me to say, hey, your song is coming on, Salif Keita is coming on, and I'd run. So for me, that house is very important because that's where I met music. That's where I encountered music, and from then I knew that this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So,
You know, there's a funny thing that happens in life. It's that there are small, seemingly insignificant things that take place that eventually become a part of our life story. And one of those things for you was an arts and culture class.
Hey, listen.
So small and insignificant, does it? You went to school, you went to class, it's whatever. But it's part of your actual life story now, where you sort of unraveled a creative part of who you are. Tell us about that class.
You know, that class was very important to me because I think, because already I knew that the arts path is my path, you know. And so at the time, our arts teacher said that we should give us an assignment to invent like a musical instrument. And then this is where I created a horn.
Invented is the right word.
Yes. And I created this horn made out of recycled plastic material. And then I would play it and it produced like a trombone sound. And I played it. And yeah.
And it happened that you played it so well that you decided to take it outside of the arts and culture class and make it a part of your journey. When we see you on the stages of New York, Europe, we don't think that you were once one of those random guys on the streets busking.
This is true.
This is true. Busking for tourists and random people. So that's just another sort of part of the journey. You know what? I was in Vilagazi Street not so long ago. I had Cameroonian friends that came to visit me. I'm like, okay, that's a nice place to sort of find things out. And as soon as you come out of the car, there's just like all these people trying to sing for you because everyone is looking for a bug.
Of course.
Keke was one of those guys. Tell us about that.
So fast forward, yes, I have the Keke horn, and then I started basking. So after my trick, I then started basking, trying to find opportunities, because I was like, this invention is very great. Someone must see it, you know, it must mean something because it meant something to me. So I would then bask. I'd walk from Naledi to Orlando. Yeah, and then because at home they didn't believe in this whole like music thing. So what I'd do is that I would go and bask there and then like perform to tourists. and then they would put in like the foreign currencies in my head, and then I would take those foreign currencies, change them, exchange them, and then like buy groceries and take them home to show them that I can actually make
it's
a
living. Thing.
Like,
yeah.
you know. So and then I left Orlando. Then I went to Newtown. Newtown Market Theatre. This is where I was busking, and out of nowhere, Prahuma Masekela walks up to me, and he's like, "What's this thing? What's this thing?" You know, and I introduced myself, and I explained my trumpet, and he's like, "What's the name of your trumpet?" I was like, "It doesn't have a name yet," and he was like, "Well, you said your name Keke, so this is the Keke horn."
Yeah.
And one moment I'll never forget. So,
is that where the phrase Kekelingo comes
Keke
from?
horn.
Okay. So
horn.
is that where the concept of using your name to certain...
That's where it started.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So, you know, it's always interesting for me to read the bio of any artist because it shows the things that are significant to them that might be seemingly insignificant to other people, and that is the story of your life, all these small pieces that create who you eventually become. And we're going to speak a little bit about what then happens, because after the Keke horn, then there's the muffins era of your life that comes after that. Jeez. So maybe because we have like 2 minutes before we go to our news, we're going to be continuing with that. But I want you to sort of speak about after that significance of your horn being named and you just changing those currencies coming home, because what happens in African families is that unless there's money, then it's not serious. When you're just playing, it's not that serious if there's no money. So you're like, guys, look, there's some money. This thing is a little bit serious. Do you think from there they actually started to understand your journey in music?
I think it was very... Okay, so what was great about that moment was that then I entered a competition called SAS Got Talent.
Yes.
And then SAS Got Talent, I was playing my horn, and then I made it to the semifinals, which was a big deal.
Was it the same horn, or did you just have to make new ones?
Same horn.
Really?
Same horn.
Wow.
Same horn. And I made it to the semifinals, and I think for me, that's where then the stardom began for me, because then I was getting magazine covers, I was getting all these amazing things, you know. So I think for them, it gave them a bit of hope to say, okay, maybe, you know.
He's on TV now.
He's on TV now, you know. And fast forward, basking in the streets, I met up with Sfiso. Sfiso at the time, he was in the UJ choir, and they needed a drummer. He knew that I was playing drums, and that's when I met the Muffins.
Well, it's going to be another era after the break, but we have to take it, because now that we're at the Muffins era, we're getting closer to the Kekelingo era.
My God.
Right?
I love this. Yeah.
Such a cool conversation. We're speaking to Kekelingo, who is such a wonderful singer. He's got his own language as well. I remember the first time I heard in the Muffins, he created this kind of language that's not a language, but it's a language to him. He's the only one who knows the meanings of some of this vernacular that he's created, and it feels like it's a Western language, Western African language, but it actually isn't. You'd actually think, you know what, the Muffins are singing with someone from Niger or Chad or something like that, but it's actually Kekelingo, and he's a fantastic drummer as well. I've seen him play live, and you see this guy singing, and I don't know how he keeps the melody and the rhythm in one go. So he's really talented in light of that. Well, let's talk a little bit about, you know, your move into the Muffins. You guys started kind of like creating this band, Joburg. I used to call it, when I used to work for Fine Music Radio in Cape Town, I used to call it like jazz rock, because I used to think, you know, it's very jazzy, but it's got that rock element. How did you guys come up with that sound? Was it just natural? Okay, this is what we know what to do, or was there kind of a mission that we're going to create something like this?
Yeah, I think the genre happened because, so it's 5 individuals with different musical backgrounds, different musical influences. So we called it an eclectic soul trip. Because I mean, I love your West African music, your, you know, pretty much African music. Then you have Mtabisi, who's from Zimbabwe, who grew up listening to Britney Spears. And then
that's different.
And then you have Sfiso that love Bob Marley, and then you have Karabo and Sims that love jazz. So I mean, that collective will just really produce a sound that has never been heard before. So yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And let's talk a little bit about you and the drumming and the singing. Let's talk about the singing, because that's what fascinates a lot of people about you. That language that you coined, that you created yourself. I'm sure it's influenced by you loving African music.
This is true.
So didn't you think people would be like, what are you saying? And I'm sure you get that question all the time. What are you saying? You want to know what the message is. Yeah. But I think it's the spirit of the music that you're pushing there. Tell us a little bit about the Kekelingo, the language.
The Kekelingo came about, we were performing at a rock festival, and we had 4 songs to perform, right? And then, before we perform, there's a section called sound check, where we check our levels and everything. Yeah. And luckily, a friend of ours was there recording us as we were sound checking. And then we were playing like some metallic melody thing. And when it was my turn to check my mic, I then started uttering those words. And that's how the song sound check came about.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, most importantly, I think my mom was like spiritually gifted, like crazy. I think after she passed, because I literally she passed and I then met the guys. So I think that whole language was my way of dealing with her passing, you know. So yeah.
You know what this also reminds me of? Sorry about that, Vin. It also reminds me of the fact that you said when you were young and you were growing up in your house, you'd watch TV and there was, the likes of Salif Keita and them, and they were your favorites. Yes. But you were a kid and you had no idea what they were saying. So to you, they were speaking Kekelingo. You just loved their music, but you just had no idea what they were saying. And that's how music is like, right? You go to any international festival, there are people from around the world, they sing in different languages, but a song is a feeling, not particularly a language, right? So you know if a song is a love song or a heartbreak song or whatever the song is about, just from the feeling of the song, even if you don't understand the language. So you're like that 3-year-old kid again, singing Salif Keita, but now in Kekelingo.
Yeah, so the Kekelingo, my spiritual language that I express my voice with, no meaning, but tons and tons of feeling. Like your physical body might not get it, but your spirit being will definitely understand. So hence the Kekelingo.
And let's talk a little bit about the departure from the Muffins era into creating your own career. I know that you guys have thought about this systematically, because we had one of your band members and chatting about how, the Muffins are still intact. It's just that, you guys are just pushing your own careers, but also under your own stable as a band. Tell us a little bit about that individual journey for you to also found your own sound outside of the Muffins. Was it tricky, or did you just find it natural?
So of course, I'm used to performing with these incredible gentlemen, and now I have to like step out and like sing on my own. It was very hard in the beginning, because then I also had to like believe in my voice, because here I am presenting it on my own. But I don't think the transition was hard. I think presenting the music live was hard. But it was time, it was meant to be. And I felt it's time for me to tell my story through music. And I met up with Fitzseason, I met up with Benza, and I presented what I wanted to do. And he's always loved my vibe.
Oh, nice.
And I remember I presented a song called Konza.
All right.
And Konza features Ami Faku, which is literally my first single.
Wow. We played it.
As Kekelingo. And this is how the journey just started.
The drummer is usually the guy at the background. He's hardly seen. He's invisible. Sure. Yes, we know he's there. We probably tap into the beat. He creates the momentum of the music, but we never really look at the drummer. The drummer is almost like the other guy in the band, but you became the center guy in the Muffins to a certain degree, especially when you created that Kekelingo. Yes. When you're sitting up on stage, I always wonder, how do you position yourself on stage? Do you feel that you still have to be sitting on the drum, or do you feel like you have to put a mic on? Do you rethink the way your stage performance is now as a solo artist? Because I think that's very, very tricky. And I think that's very interesting for you to position yourself as a lead in a performance.
Like Great question. So now what I do, there's a drum, a small little drum called the cajón.
Mm-hmm.
The cajón is a South American drum where you sit on top of it and you're able to play.
Okay.
So what happens is that with like intimate performances, I then use the cajón. And then with like big shows, I am on drums, but we do consider staging because now I am the front man,
right.
you know, so it's crazy.
And you are the front man. Own it, man. Own it.
It's crazy. It's crazy because so even with my show coming up, my homecoming, I have to think about that. Staging and making sure people can see me, you know. So yeah.
Well, we don't just chat and chat. Yeah. Although the chatting is nice, but we have to listen to some music. This is Itemba by Kekelingo. It's touching, it's spiritual, and it's just overall beautiful. Itemba by Kekelingo. He's graced us with his presence here this morning, and we are having an amazing time just unraveling him like an onion, layer by layer, finding out a little bit about him. I think he's also getting a little shy about his own story. Just because, you know, telling back the story of your life, it's not like living it. It's like, wow, I've done all of that. I can't believe it.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. It's really crazy.
But I mean, you have some performances coming up. Sure. You're doing amazing things. Your music. Tell us about your upcoming event, the homecoming.
Yeah. So this is my full circle moment.
Yeah.
I remember. I said that I would pass, I would walk from Naledi to Orlando.
Yes.
And on my way there, I'd pass through Jabulani. And Jabulani, they were still building the Soweto Theatre. And I'd look at it and say, one day I'll be performing here. And now for me to be performing at the Soweto Theatre is such a full circle moment. So it's my homecoming. I'll be telling my story, how I grew up in this forum house that is a dream that started at the Forum House to where I am now.
Yeah.
So I'll be sharing all of that. So it's happening at the Soweto Theatre on the 28th of March at the Gibson Kenter space. And I'll be featuring the Muffins, of course. I'll be featuring the 2-time Grammy-nominated Just Six.
Oh, wow.
I'll be featuring the Princess of Lesotho, Leomile. I'll be featuring Monet. So these are all my friends I've been walking this music journey with, and I felt like I have to share the night with them, and I hope all the Lingonians can come through and experience this, because the next time they see me, it's gonna be $1,000 US, so they better come now.
Before $1,000 US.
Yeah, like literally.
Exactly.
So,
well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, this is a true story. So please, where can we find the tickets, and where do we follow you to just continue, following your journey?
Of course. So tickets are available at Web Tickets, Pick and Pay. You can also buy at the theater, at the box office.
Okay.
And on social media, it is at Kekelingo Music. That's where you can find me.
Love it. Thank you so much, man. This is so fun. I wish we didn't have to let you go, because we're really enjoying your time.
Well, I think before he goes, he has to sing us a Kekelingo thing, dedicated.
I wish I could learn.
Dedicated to our show. Just in 30 seconds. Give us a Kekelingo track dedicated to our moment today. Come on, let's do it.
Shucks.
Ipannalergiti mertavo Anilali payertu Ipannalali pirtan Anilali parkirtu Ipannalergiti mertavo Onipannalali parkirtu.
Oh
man, it feels like we are in an Arabic city or something like that.
Yes. Oh, that's really amazing. Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Thank you.
I'm gonna cry, but before I do that,
Dude, I'm tearing already.
I'm telling you.
Oh Lord.
Please, William, save us from ourselves. It's time for our latest sports news.